debit restriction that was placed on about 440 bank accounts of both companies and individuals. All right, I don't know, are you one of them? Maybe you should go check. Have you been trying to use a particular account and plenty of stories were told? Perhaps you should go check. Maybe you're one of those. But then more interestingly are the companies that were affected. We know Aboki FX, the account was affected and now that ban has been lifted. We also know NairaBet and some other companies, about 444 illegal pricing, and you know that the POS operators had said that they are going to fix new prices for POS transactions. I don't know if you do a lot of that. I do, and I know that they charge about 400 naira for 20,000 naira currently. So when they say that they want to increase it, I cannot even begin to imagine what the cost will look like. Anyways, the FCCPC, which is the regulatory government body in charge of regulating prices, or rather checking that all ought to be the way it's supposed to be for consumers, they are saying you cannot do that, and you're going to be fined for illegal pricing. And so they said POS operators that are found in violation of the order will pay 10 million naira for corporate entities and 1 million naira for individuals, including a prison sentence for up to 3 months actually. And I was wondering, is it that serious? Why the focus on POS operators? Because when you talk illegal pricing, that's not exactly the sector that comes to my mind. I must be honest with you. The sectors that come to mind, I think of e-commerce. I mean, am I the only one that online vendors have been doing many things? I mean, where people, products that you know that down your street, I mean a street that has a shop, you are supposed to be getting it at a very reasonable price, but once you go online, boom, it triples, the cost triples, and you're wondering who is regulating these people, who is ensuring that people do not just slam prices, vendors do not just slam prices on goods and services. And so that's really, for me, what I would really have loved FCCPC to be paying attention on. I would have loved FCCPC to pay attention on the fact that online vendors and their overpricing practice rather than the POS operators. Well, I don't know. Either way, it is something to really pay attention to. I'm going to keep we're going to pay very close attention to that. We checked yesterday and we asked POS operators, and they say their cost is still the same, and that's something we're going to be keeping tabs on as well. Don't forget, you can be a part of this conversation. I've always loved that we all talk. All right, and later on the show we're going to have a very interesting guest join us, and we're going to have a very interesting discussion. And what's it about? It's about the fact that the MPC of the CBN have ended their meeting yesterday with an increase in interest rates. What can that mean for businesses? What should businesses make of that? We'll be talking about that in a bit. You get to join the conversation, more importantly to share how exactly that's going to affect your business. And so we get right to it, because we just ended Market Watch. We'll get into what we call the insider tips for today. The Central Bank of Nigeria unleashing a major monetary policy move, we call it. Yes, in a bold move to combat surging inflation, they say the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN has cranked up the benchmark interest rate to a staggering 18.75%. Hold on tight. This marks the highest interest rate in over 2 decades. Yes, 22 years to be precise. This is the first time that it's hit that height. 18.75% interest rate, double figures, and that high. There's so much to talk about. The heat is on as acting CBN Governor Folashodun Shonubi took the reins and in a press briefing revealed the MPC's strategic decision, and it followed the 2-day meeting. Like I've said, President Bola Tinubu's administration should better get ready, because this is the first MPC meeting under the watch of this administration, and the interest rate, just like every other thing in recent times, has gone up. And to think I just talked about FCCPC coming after POS operators for considering increasing their rates. That's a different conversation. Now let's stay with CBN, shall we? Now, so I'm asking, what exactly? I'd like you before we get into the conversation or crunch the numbers. Let's look at what exactly went down during that meeting with the CBN. The MPR shot up by 25 basis points, narrowing the asymmetric corridor to plus 100 / minus 300 basis points. And that's not all. The cash reserve ratio and liquidity ratio held their ground at 32.5% and 30%. That means that the banks can only, the 32.5% is the threshold for them to reserve cash, and of course liquidity ratio as well. And so the CBN means business apparently, and they are leaving no stones unturned. But then why the sudden rush to pump up the interest rates? Inflation, I've said, folks, inflation is soaring to unprecedented heights in recent times. If you've checked, it has hit a jaw-dropping 22.79%. In June, it hit 22.79%, and that's the highest rate we've seen since September 2005. So many numbers going out today. Yes, it's talking figures. Expect a lot of that. The economy's red alert is flashing, and so the CBN seems to be taking no chances. Inflation is stubbornly refusing to back down, unfortunately, and even with the previous rate hikes, we need to brace up. And it's for more turbulence, I'm asking, that the aftermath of the petrol subsidy removal and the exchange rate converging and has perhaps added more fuel to fire. And so what is it that this is going to mean for businesses? I've said so much, so let's just bring our guests in to crunch these numbers for us, because according to Nairametrics, the surge in money liquidity, all the cash flow we've seen happen in recent times, and the inflation pressures in the country, despite all of the CBN moves, raising interest rate alone is not enough, it says, to tighten liquidity and clamp down on inflation. What are your thoughts? I'm going to be asking you and opening the phone lines really shortly, but first, let's bring in our guests, shall we? And so my guest is the president and founder of Entrepreneurs Platform Initiative, EPI. She's many things, actually. She's a business coach, she's a clarity coach. She's mentored lots of business owners. Her name is Dr. Mercy Bello-Abu. You can hear me, right? Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good to have you join me. Although I wish you were live, but I understand. It's good to have you anyways. And yes, you've heard me pushing out numbers. It doesn't sound like music to a lot of people's ears. Can you make it do that?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. So the numbers, I'm like, oh my God, you take no down for industrialists speaking the language and all of that. So fantastic. Well done.
Thank you. So let's begin with look at how this will impact borrowing costs, because when you hear interest rates anytime, you're thinking, can I still borrow? Is it too risky to borrow? So let's talk about the borrowing costs. How will the new interest rate impact business owners' borrowing costs, especially for small and medium-sized businesses? Let's start with that.
Awesome question. Yes, these particular seasons are not the best of times for SMEs. And June 27th, just last month, was SME Day. And most of the conversation centered on this. It's always been a challenge for SMEs to access funds, because they can barely survive when it was even a single digit, not to talk of the high interest rates that we are all battling with right now. For me, I just think that there's so much wrong timing in most of our policies now that we are not taking into cognizance, we are not taking into perspective what the average man is actually going through. So for you to hike in the middle of major policy changes, then we are being bombarded on both sides. The SMEs are even barely surviving. They're even barely surviving. Now, you hike up the interest rate. So how do you want them to even thrive in an economy that is even struggling? So for me, to sum up everything, the timing is the wrong time. They needed to have looked at the indices, look at the average man. How are you coping, even with the single interest rates that a lot of them cannot even access? I've been privileged to be in SME space for a while with thousands of small business owners, and in as much as we have a lot of intervention funds, a lot of them can't access it. A lot of them are not even able to bring the required stuff to be able to access.
And that was what I was going to ask you next. With this new raise of this interest rate, is it going to make it more challenging for businesses to access loans and capital? I mean, you always need money to expand your business, right? So you're going to be more challenging. And what strategies can business owners adopt with this reality?
Absolutely. If with single interest or 9% you couldn't even access it, and they say they even had issues paying back, because sometimes you get this money, then maybe it takes a while before you eventually hit your account. Even before you start processing, it's running. So you are backed with ability to even pay back. So now with this, it's definitely going to be a lot harder for them to be able to access. And if you are not able to get funds injected into your business, expansion is not even in the picture. Because you need funds to be injected into your business sometimes for you to talk about expansion. So right now, what we have, most SMEs are survival strategies. They are trying to survive to even keep afloat. So with the interest rate, if at single digits, they couldn't afford to have access to these loans. Because we've always looked at it, major problems of SME that everybody is a global thing. Access to funds, access to power, access to good network of roads. These have been mitigating factors against SME thriving in this environment. So with there
are alternative financing options. If you're saying that the businesses are going to actually find it challenging, and then some people are going to have cold feet. I mean, if you were already in the process of trying to get money from the bank, and then you're hearing that there's a new interest rate and it's even increased, what are the financing options at this point?
Absolutely. Even with this 18.7 that CBN, is giving to commercial banks are going to hike their own. They will take commercial banks to get 22 or 23 interest rate. So with this, you can imagine they might be hitting 30 something, point something in the interest rate. You can just picture what we are talking about. That is how profound these policies are going to be on the average business on SME. So now they need to sort for the great SME or a business owner. How do you now survive in this time, looking for alternatives? I was jokingly telling somebody, I said maybe they need to look at, we are able to, over the past years, invested in treasury bills, or you've gotten bonds that you can lay hold of, or you have family savings that you can, because you need to sort alternative means of supporting your business. You realize right now, yesterday we were supposed to have a training for my community, for my women, on access to grants. We presently have a lot of grants that are flowing around, especially for women, because it's my niche. And they are trying to open their eyes to more of this opportunity right now to have access to these grants. Also, your ability to document also is an hindrance to most of them not being able to access most of these funds. So that is what we want to also empower them, get them to that level that they're able to access most of these data for small businesses, especially for the women that are business. So that is where, so that those are the alternatives that you can readily point to right now. But also, commercial bank,
Okay, Dr. Bello, let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll delve more into exactly how these financing options can be assessed, and more importantly, conversations continues afterwards.
The show continues after this break on Nigeria Info.
Mama Godwin, why you no come market yesterday?
I don't understand my
And we're back. Yes, we're talking figures. We're still talking figures. We started talking figures after the news at 2 p.m. To 18.75%, and so much has come out of it. We have in the studio having this conversation. I'm crunching the numbers. We are with us, President and founder of Entrepreneurs Platform Initiative EPI, Dr. Mercy Bello-Abu, and I am Choma Isinwafo. And before we went on this break, she talked about the financing options there are, considering the borrowing costs are going to go up and going to go as high as 30%, she says. I mean, the banks are going to, take the cue from the CBN, and their borrowing costs are going to hit as high as 30%, she says. But there are financing options, she says, and she's still with us. Are you there, Dr. Bello?
Yes, please.
Okay, so can you share with us what exactly how exactly these financing options, how we can get our hands on it? Let me just put it that way. And before you do that, let me just quickly open the phone line so that questions can start pouring in. You can call 070-0923-0923, 0817-923-0002, and 0817-923-0003 is also the number that you can call. And of course, we're going to take as much calls as I can, and questions as well for the guests. You're free to ask questions. If you're a business owner and you have questions, you're free to answer. All right, so Dr. Bello, how can we assess this money, this financing options? Talk to me.
Oh, thank you so much. There are a lot of options, especially the grant options for SMEs. So we have lots of them, like the one thing for the concluded, I think she concludes incubator program. That one you have up to 2 million funding. And we have another one that is also USADF, African Agricultural and Enterprise Grant. All of these, there are so many, but my issue is not even listing them. Our problem, our challenge is assessing this loan, these grants.
Why is it a challenge?
The challenge is that the documentation. A lot of persons don't have the requisite experience and what you call expert to be able to leverage and access these grants. So they need help. They need, and that is what we are doing for our community. There are some that are just like access to the funds, the grant that they give. You know, a lot of persons have also put in, and they've not been able to. Others have been able to access that funds easily. So we are trying to see how, especially for women, because that seems to be the challenging aspect. A lot of maybe the male folk are easily, they are able to access these funds more easier than the women. So we are trying to build up their capacity in terms of helping them through the documentation processes, knowing what to do, the right registrations, and all of that to be able to access these grants, because they are there. So many. Yes.
Okay, now let's take our first call on the show today. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Quite well. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Talking Figures. Let's hear you.
AB from House on the Rock.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go on.
You know, one of the problems we have in this great nation is about federal government and CBN bank. I could remember we suffer cashless policies in this nation. They wanted to go and collect 10,000 naira for POS. They say you should bring 4,000. They take 40%, give you 60%. You have to. Let me tell you something. When you have a great leader must consider the poor first. Okay, now see, when I want to go and buy small businessman, when I want to go and buy something, I was buying 700, and they used to tell me 1,500 now.
Okay.
Are you seeing?
Okay.
When children of Israel they cry, when Moses were controlling children of Israel for 430 years for Egypt, see, when dangers for the Lord will come, people will cry everywhere. No more to the people on the roadside. Good leadership.
Okay. Thank you for your thoughts there. Is the line breaking or you're done talking? I'm not sure what has happened there, but thank you for calling the first caller on the show today. I believe that one day I will have a gift for my first caller. You know. Okay, Dr. Bello, you're still there, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. So, you mentioned, I mean, that there are challenges, and apparently business owners haven't been doing business the right way. From what I hear you say, documentations. That means they do not properly keep records. From what I hear you say, they do not properly keep records, and so they are not able to apply and qualify to win these grants. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now let's stay on this higher interest rates. Now, what exactly? How can business owners strike a balance between managing financial risks and, you know, continuing to pursue growth and innovation at a time like this? You know, we are very resilient people. Despite all odds, we just want to keep growing and moving forward. Please, how can we move forward and manage our risk?
Absolutely. That is why we are high on our ability to look through, no matter how daunting we are business owners.
Yeah, Dr. Bello, could you speak up, please? Could you kind of...
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but it's still kind of, I don't know, like in the background of some sort. Could you maybe come close to your microphone?
Okay, I'm actually on my AirPod. But can you hear me very well now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's better.
So, basically what I'm saying is that we are resilient people. And as business owners, our ability to innovate, to evolve, is what makes us outstanding business people. So no matter how daunting the situation or the policies might be, we are supposed to navigate this terrain and come out on the other side better. What it only shows for us is to put on our thinking cap, be more aggressive in our marketing, bring that product, that no matter what, that people must always want this product, and innovate. There's always something to be added. You're not changing the whole process, but add something extra that makes you stand out in the marketplace. That is the resilient spirit of every SME that you have around you.
Okay, Dr. Bello, let's see if we can take more calls. And of course, the phone lines are open now. And I need to hear from you. How are the new interest rates affecting you? Just before I came into the studio, I had someone say, "Oh, I heard you're talking interest rates today. Please, you should tell us how to navigate it." So if you have questions, Dr. Bello is here to answer. She has said a lot of things, and I'm going to follow up on something she said earlier. But first, let's open the phone lines, and they are open. 0817-923-0007 is another number you can call to join us to have this conversation. 0817-923-0009 is also another number, and the WhatsApp number is 0809-030-6416. 0809-6416. How do you see the new increase in the interest rates affecting you? Borrowing cost goes up, says the experts in the studio with us. How are you navigating it? What are your plans? She has mentioned aggressive marketing. What does that mean for you? Are you going to literally turn to, there's this type they do in the normal traditional markets where they will literally grab the hands of buyers and drag them into their store. Like, are we going to be seeing such aggressive marketing? I don't know. You call me up and tell me, how are you going to weather the storm? I mean, the storm started May 29 with the petrol removal subsidy, and it's been trickling and affecting every other thing ever since. How is your business going to weather this one? Interest rates are going up. Perhaps you planned, this is the H2 of the year, the half of the year, and how exactly were you planning to expand your business? Perhaps you were planning to go borrow from the bank. You're already even processing your papers, and now this has hit. What's your plan? I would like to hear you. 0817-923-0002 is also another number you can call. 0817-923-0003. If you're a business owner, I'd like to hear your voice today. And 0809-030-6416 is the WhatsApp number. I'm coming back to you now, Dr. Bello. I'm asking, what is it that what's the most common errors that businesses do that do not properly position them for these grants you mentioned earlier?
Okay, the fact that because you hear it's a grant, they are not paying back, so automatically need a grant. Sometimes you don't need that grant. You just need to define your processes. You just need to establish your business in a more professional way. We've come to realize that business owners go through a lot of challenges because we don't have processes and structures in place. Because if you have structured processes in place, you will see where the gaps are. So even with the influx or the inflow of the grants coming in, you see where you are. So defining your processes is so critical to the sustainability of your business. Sometimes we hear as business owner, if only I have 5 million, I'm going to do this, and this 5 million comes into your business, there's still nothing it has not changed anything because you have not taken time to do the due diligence of knowing and running a business the way it should be run. And that has been the challenging aspect of most business owners, having been in this space for a while. So the fact that it's a grant, I'm not paying back, of course you are going to account for it. Of course, every detail has to be documented. So it's not free. There's no free money. Even in free time, there's no free money. So people feel that, because it's a grant, and you've come to realize these days that we have people that are addicted to it. They know all the grants everywhere, any the platforms that gives this grant, they've been everywhere. They will tell you, when I want this one, I want this. So you look at it, the summary. So what has happened? They gave you $5,000 in this one. You got $3,000. You got $4,000. At the end of the day, what came out of it? You are still the quest looking for more. So it means that there's a fundamental problem that you need to sit down and do your due diligence as a business owner. Because business is not just so because I see it, I want to do it. There are rudiments, the audit of this business. You might even realize these grants and this loan, I don't need them because right now I cannot afford to have this because
the capacity to deal with this expansion is not there.
Absolutely. So because you say, let's just bring it, you bring it in, then the whole thing collapses in your hands and you start blaming, is this, is that. You did not do the due diligence. You didn't sit down to look at your facts and figures. You need to sit down. You need to examine, where was I last year? Where am I this year in this business? Have I put all the rudiments in place? All the contending factors, have I taken care of them? Then there's room for expansion. It's even possible you're the first stage of you've not even crossed it. You are looking at expansion, and the word that we hear a lot, we say, we want to diversify. What are you diversify when you have not even mastered the one that you're already doing? You've not taken ownership. You've not owned it.
So you go deep before you spread. You go deep and then you spread.
Absolutely.
I like the way you're breaking it down now. I mean, when you look at the opportunities that a higher interest rate, is there anything like that? Like, can we stay on that for a moment? What are those opportunities? You mentioned innovation, an opportunity to innovate, an opportunity to do aggressive marketing.
So be very aggressive.
Okay. How about the opportunities that ensure that money enters our pockets, like direct? Because I mean, you are talking figures.
Absolutely. With the higher interest rate, you know that you now look at your pricing.
Okay.
You need to be able to look at your pricing. Is it commensurate? Am I complying? Am I aligning with the current reality? Because you might think, let me just sell. So you need to sit down and look at your pricing. How do I remain relevant in this market space? So you put your pricing in place and look at other innovative ways that because it's always about innovation. As a business owner, you'll be boxed into. We've gone through it before. There are some times you took a facility that became from maybe 22 because it was running on a default mode. It got to 45%, and you are still able to navigate it. Look at what else can I add as a value chain to what I'm currently doing, so that more funds will come in. So this is the time to sit down and look at your business critically and strategically. How do I bring in more inflow? That is what you are looking at. Because as to the policies, when we do capacity development, we say there are certain things. If you're locus of control, you can't control what the government. Your ability to adapt, your ability to adapt as a business owner is what makes you stand out. So definitely policies are going to come that they are not favorable. They are always going to be there. Monetary policies, absolutely. Because this policy that they brought now is, because the other day, most bankers you hear, I remember last year, there's too much liquidity in the system. There's too much liquidity.
Yes, true.
Yes, we need to give us. So banks were everywhere calling you, come and collect this. They will send you SMS, you qualify for this, because they were too much that the CBN was on them that they needed to give out these funds. Now, it's not even getting it. Most of the people that they got into, after a while, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, go on.
Okay, after a while, they had to now say, people will give this fund to, they are not able to pay back. So there was they froze that one and said, go after the borrowers, the people you're giving the money to, go and get in the funds. So you see how the policies and all of that. So as a business owner, how you navigate this space ultimately determines how prepared you are to adapt and remain sustained in a struggling and difficult terrain as we have found ourselves recently.
You know, when you just talked about got me to the next question, when you look at the fact that some people have already borrowed and they did not borrow based on what's happening now, how does that work for them really? How are they going to be able to, we can continue to service their debt effectively in the changing interest rate environment?
Like they will always say, you have the ability to go back and renegotiate.
Oh, really? Would that work practically or just on paper?
No, you go back. You sit down with them. This is what it is. If the interest rate now, okay, I was doing this before, I won't be able to. It's either they get more funds because there are always room for negotiation. Never you take no for an answer, especially when we are dealing with financial institutions.
Okay.
Go back, sit with them. Because it's easier for when they want to give you this facility, they tell you they are going to take a certain percentage for management fee. Management fee is that if the loan is not doing well, you're also managing it with me. So we sit down and analyze, how do we get out of it? Did you hear recently how Flour Mill was awarded how many billion? There was a case that a Flour Mill won, that they froze the account for years, and they thought that the EcoBank was going to, at the end of the day, Flour Mill got
won the case.
verdict that they give them what was due them. So there's always room for negotiation. There's always a place where, okay, if I have serviced this loan to a reasonable extent, okay, what can you do as my partner? Because I was paying you management fee. So as business owner, we should learn all of these languages and the secret of behind borrowing, so that because some of the big companies, they get away with certain things. So for us as MSMEs, we should also know the rudiments on borrowing and going back to having this discussion. Okay, what is the way forward? What would you do for me? Because we know sometimes it's difficult for them, but engage, keep engaging. Because right now, if your name, you borrow and you're not able to pay, you can't borrow from any other bank because your name is going to be in APCON. And once you go, they flag your name because you've had a lot of challenges paying. So we can also engage in this conversation with them.
This is a very interesting one. Now, when we look at I know, of course, there's been this influx of loan apps. And people can easily just go there and borrow 50K, 100K, house rent, school fees. It's really helped a lot of Nigerians. Is the new interest rate going to affect these loan apps?
It's might. It's because why the loan app became very popular, because the ease of access.
Okay.
Ease of access is key. Because you go through the traditional, the commercial banks, they tell you, okay, it has been approved. It takes 3 years, for almost 4 months or 5 months, or even a minimum, maybe a month before you can access this loan. And with the loan app, just with a flip of a finger, you just fill in online and the money is right there. Definitely, the interest rate is going to go up, which is even high already, because you have it with ease. And anything that is that easy to access, most time you pay higher for it. It's life, is the policy. So now, thank God that there's regulation right now.
Okay.
When this loan app started, the trying things that a lot of people, the humiliation, the embarrassment and all of that. Thank God that it has been taken care of. That even with the advent of the data protection law, that you can't share information anymore, you can be sued for that. So thank God for that. At least they have regulated that space a bit, but not totally. But it has really helped in the sense of people being able to lay assets and lay claim and be able to access these funds, because it's been challenging. We don't need anybody to tell us how it has been in our country for the past how many. We cannot even remember. Even the tone, the mood of everybody. There's so much sadness. There's everywhere. There's just something in the air you can't even place your hands on, because you can feel the pains. You can feel the frustration. You just see, you drive on the road. Yesterday I was coming from somewhere. What's actually happening? There's this untold fear. There's unspoken. There's so much uncertainty in terms of especially because of our financial situation. And that is what I said, the wrong timing. Wrong timing.
Okay, now we have a question here on the WhatsApp platform. It says, good afternoon. Please tell the doctor to mention some of the grant platforms that you mentioned earlier. You're going to answer that, but we have a call coming through. Oh, okay, I lost that one. Go on, Dr. Bello. Could you mention or maybe let's leave it for the end of the show. Then you mentioned that, and because I want to quickly ask you about the way the CBN has justified this. You're saying it's wrong timing, but they are saying it's good timing because they believe this move will encourage foreign investment and narrow the negative rate of returns. Please, how? How would that happen?
No, when I was listening to that, I'm like, the average man does not care
about foreign investors,
about policies that you are putting in place. The average man just wants to eat. It's your duty to get in foreign investors. It's your duty to boost the economy. All they want to do is to feel the impact. And it shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. How do I put it now? They shouldn't. Doing that should not mean that the ordinary man. You shouldn't ride on the back of the ordinary man to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And with the current, let the poor man breathe.
Yeah. They are saying it, but they are not doing it, isn't it?
It's not breathing. It's being suffocated. And
people are choking.
It's going to encourage what? For me, it's the wrong timing. From day one, May 29th date. May 29th. So the wrong timing. We cannot start a new administration. In as much as fantastic policies, we are saying, okay, long term. That is what they are saying, because every economist will tell you that most of these policies that are being put in place are going to help mitigate some of the ills of the society. Brilliant. But wrong timing. When you come in, you can't, for the average man, look at I don't know if you saw the video yesterday of Lagosians trekking.
Yes.
Trekking.
A crowd of people just walking. And they walk for miles.
Walk for miles, 12 kilometers, 7 kilometers to get to work. How do you feel when you see your citizens that way? And it wasn't like that before. Then you are telling us about the policies, about bringing investors. That is not what they want to hear. So how do you mitigate it? How do you go back? Because we thought that with the advent of this administration, they are surrounded by technocrats that should know how to break these things down so that the average man does not feel the brunt. Even if it's going to come, let it come in trickles, not in manifest folds like this. You are being bombarded everywhere. You are driving, you are practically looking at your fuel gauge 247. And the way it runs now is as if they put air in there. You buy 10,000, the next minute is gone. Then you are back to the filling station again. So these are the challenges.
Now, Dr. Bello, just before we wrap up in a few minutes, I want us to look at the reason that was given for this. Apart from the fact they believe that the foreign investors are going to start queuing on the doorstep of Nigeria now, they also looked at inflation. They say it's also because they want to be able to, keep this hawkish thing that they've been doing about inflation. But when you look at Nigeria's money supply, the fact that it's increased by a whooping 8.8 trillion in June, and so from 64.3 trillion naira, that's the new cost. It went from 55.5 trillion to 64.3 trillion in June. All right, and it's the highest level on record according to the CBN. And then they say that increasing the interest rate is going to help bring down the inflation, especially because we now have a lot of money in circulation. Can you help us understand these numbers? Help us understand what they're trying to do here.
The fact that, thank you, Joma, the fact that Nigeria is a peculiar nation. You cannot, they will tell you, because on paper, in in a more structured and organized system. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, when you bring the interest rate and then it curbs inflation, then you have fewer this thing pursuing all of it, and it improves our gross domestic product, our GDP. Absolutely. These are all theory, talk. How is it affecting the business owner? So now we've said, we want to curb inflation. That is why we increase our interest rate. So what is it for the average man? How do you explain it? How is it being administered? You know, we have brilliant policies.
Yes, we
do. But
do.
we forget the peculiarities of our nation, not knowing the effects. At least the May 29th acceptance speech proves to you how dynamic this nation is. You were giving a speech not up to 1 hour. Immediately, the freight price
changed.
Went. So that is the country that we are in.
Okay.
So you can't. Yes, please.
Yeah, because of time, can you quickly reel out those grand platforms that you mentioned earlier on the show, so we wrap up, and then of course your final thoughts.
I talked about she concludes one, then the MSME. Let me just MSME. Okay. I think I was reading them out. The MSME platform. Okay. Then we have most of them. Then we have for Creative Business Corp Nigeria. Up to 1 million naira grants. That is free plus free mentorship. We have a lot of accelerator programs. This one is. Are
there specific businesses these grants are for, or just any business can access it?
We have for agriculture the USADF African Agricultural and Enterprise Grant. That one is for. I think that one is due July 31st. It's for agric.
Okay.
It's for agric. Then for enterprise, we have the Creative Business Corp Nigeria. The Creative Business Corp, they are all online.
Okay.
Under the MSME African Online. Check MSME African Online. Call for grant application.
All right.
You will see all of this. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bello-Abu there. That's Dr. Mercy Bello-Abu. She's many things, like I said, but let's just stay with the easiest one, which is the fact that she's the president and founder of Entrepreneurs Platform. Entrepreneurs Platform Initiative. Did I get that correct? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Bella, for making time for this. I can imagine you were multitasking and talking to me, but you did great. Thank you so much. And those grants were coming for them, and we're going to get our acts together. I'm talking to businesses now, right? We're going to get our acts together, and we're going to come for those grants, and we're going to weather this storm. Thank you for talking figures with me today, Dr. Bello. And of course, I'm sure I had a network connection issues at some point because the calls just stopped coming in. I'm not very sure why. But in case you were trying to reach me, I'm so sorry. Please try again. We'll do this every Wednesday, 2 p.m. We talk figures. We get to help you understand how these big stories affect you and what you can do to navigate it. Keep your eyes and ears peeled. This is a defining moment for businesses and you as well. And as the CBN raises its shields to tackle inflation head on, we must all stay vigilant, adapt, and make wise financial decisions at this time. Of course, all the latest developments and expert analysis on Talking Figures. Join us again Wednesday, 2 p.m. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered. My name is Choma Izewan. For the news, Rivers Today is up next. Hard facts afterwards. Stay tuned.